everybody. It's your girl Toya, host of Universal Teas, the People's Podcast, and this episode is called You Don't Know Until You Know. Hi, everybody. It's about that time. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I can see whoever is in the chat. So just give me a second. I am a little early. I know I said that I would go live at 8 p.m., but it has been a long day and I got some downtime and I was like, why not go now? Because I typically do 7. Y'all know that. But here we are and we're going to make it work. So again, this episode is going to be called You Don't Know Until You Know. And it's going to be just talking about that journey of forgiving yourself as you grow and become, and as you learn new things about who you are and you meet new people, and those of us that really start to reflect on who we are. And before we start, y'all, I ain't had a little sippy sip in a minute, but if you're in Milwaukee, I went to Concoction today on Brady, and I don't even remember the name of this drink. It's something with mango, but it's really good, and you should definitely go and grab you one if you're here. Okay. So with that, make sure my mic is up to me. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Remember, this is never just me talking. This is always our conversation. So if you have something that you want to share or add, I don't mind the amen section. I actually encourage it. So feel free to say your piece in the chat, okay? So again, this episode is just talking about forgiving yourself. And the quote or the saying that came to my mind is, and I don't know who say it, I want to say Maya Angelou, but I could be lying. Let me know if I am. And it is that you have to forgive yourself for some of the things and decisions you made when you were just trying to do what was best for you. On my own journey and what I'm noticing in my life, because y'all know I'm always telling what I'm going through and hoping that it resonates with somebody, but I'm realizing that the more that I put into becoming a better person in my eyes, or the more work I put into knowing myself, the more intention I put into my own self-awareness, I started to realize that there were some decisions that I made when I wasn't my best self, or this more aware person in the past, that now it's like I would kind of be ashamed to admit that I did. Or there may have been things I said to people, situations that I was in that I didn't handle the best. I could have dropped the ball on some opportunities. I could have made people feel less than, and at the time it may not have been my intention, but in this more healed and aware version of myself, those things come up. And it's so easy for me to say, but I was going through something, or I was dealing with this and I was dealing with that. But it really takes some personal responsibility to be able to say, yes, I fucked up then. That's not who I am now. And I think that I also kind of convinced myself that because I was addressing these things about situations and some messed up things that I probably said or did when I wasn't the best person, or I wasn't in the best version of the person that I am, I had to recognize that there's nothing wrong with outgrowing that. Just because you take the time to sit with yourself, just because you take the time to put yourself in a room with parts of you that you don't love, that you may not have been proud of, that is not you returning to that. That's not you saying that I'm still that person. And I had to convince myself that just because I addressed certain parts of me, that didn't mean that I'm returning to those parts. It actually means that I'm growing out of them. Some of us love to shun away from doing the work to heal other people that we may have hurt, doing the work to heal situations or repair situations where we may have messed up, because we want to say that I'm not that way anymore. I'm a little bit better now. And you honestly are not better in your present unless you can address your past. And I had a whole series, shout out to my OGs. It's almost been a year since I did my Sankofa series where we talked about just being able to sit in a room with all your bullshit and all the things that aren't the cute things that get you likes and comments and shares, but the things that only you know about you, or the things that only you and somebody else or some company that you may have done wrong, or a time when you was out here plotting and scheming on people, and you may not be that person no more when you was the hitman and you graduated from that. You know what I'm saying? When you was catching bodies and now you're not that person anymore, you have to understand that you can't elevate fully until you've addressed and rectified and put to rest that version of yourself. And you can't even do those things until you can have the courage enough to step in a room. And sometimes I've seen people when they mess up, and y'all know when, you know what I'm saying, y'all dudes be cheating or whoever be cheating, you want somebody to forgive you, like, please forgive me. Or when we apologize for things, we say, can you please forgive me? But to be completely honest, before, and this is just my opinion, I could be wrong, this could just be me, but I feel like before you can ask somebody else for forgiveness, you really have to ask yourself, can you forgive you? You really have to do the work to forgive yourself, because sometimes, and maybe it's just me, when we're in these situations where we're growing and being better, we want somebody to not even forgive us. I've been in spaces and situations where I didn't really want the person to forgive me. I just wanted them to stop talking about it. I wanted them to forget about it. But how dare me, right? The audacity of somebody to want you to just forget something. You have no say so over the harm that you've caused people. You can't determine how your actions affect somebody else. You can only acknowledge them, and you can rectify yourself when you're wrong. So when you are on a journey, or you are in a space where you are asking people like, you need to just forgive me, or you need to just get over it, or you need to just let it go, the truth of the matter is you haven't done that for yourself. You knew you were wrong. You knew you messed up. You haven't done the work to forgive yourself, because you know if you were on the other end, you probably wouldn't. But that's okay, and you can't think that you're going to grow and go somewhere if you haven't tended to the root of issues. And I know y'all have heard this so much. We don't really heal until we look at what's at the root. If you have a lot of plant moms out there, I'm not a plant mom, but I know a lot of people are plant parents, and when y'all little plants start to wither, or they start to go bad, or get sick, if you will, you start to look at the roots. What is the soil like? What are you like at the soil, at the core, at the root of who you are? Have you forgiven you for that? Have you done the repair for the damage that you've caused to other people? And to be honest, I think we sometimes forget. Y'all have heard the saying before, hurt people hurt people. A lot of the times that when we are hurting people, and I've noticed this, when I was in a state of mind where I wasn't really myself, I wasn't even fully comprehending my actions, I was hurt. And although it was not my intention to hurt or cause pain on somebody else, I still did. Just because it's not your intention does not mean that the behavior, the action is excusable. We have to come off of our high horse, and we want to be good people. I think that, or I know for a fact that humans are innately good, right? We're taught racism. We're taught to be mean. We're taught those things because we've seen them around us. But even if you have good intentions, that does not mean the reception of it is always going to be good. That does not mean that the person who is getting it or receiving is always going to get the same message or intention that you have to give off. And that's why intention is have to be set on both ends before action is made. We a lot of times get into these ways where we say, well, I didn't mean to hurt you. And I don't know about y'all, but when I was a kid and I would be like playing outside, or you accidentally push somebody, or you with your cousins at grandma's house and y'all start play fighting and you accidentally hurt them for real, or you hurt your little sister. And child, I'm the little sister, so when my siblings accidentally like hit me too hard and I start crying, they be like, stop, I ain't try to hurt you, stop crying. It's like, I know you didn't try to hurt me, but I'm still hurt. So I need you to apologize before I can forgive you. So you need to sit with that part of yourself that is hurting. Apologize to yourself. Forgive yourself, and then go out and do the work for the people who you need to do those same things for. Because a lot of times the pain that we feel, and that we not that we feel, I'm sorry, the pain that we give to other people, the judgment that we place on other people, when we make other people feel less than they are, is truly projection. Whether you child, I was about to make up my own word. I was about to say perceptionalize. Whether you perceive it that way or not, everything that you give out is always kind of a reflection of you. People who do well and practice Thanksgiving. That's what I was about to say. People who do well and practice Thanksgiving are people who are thankful for the things that they have. so they can go and give to other people. People who are mean and bitter, or you know what I mean, jealous and angry and envious, there's something within themselves that they cannot accept or that they do not love. And the quicker we understand and internalize that, the easier it'll be for us to navigate our lives to our own standards, right? We can't always place our joy and happiness on other people. We can't have expectations for people. And I think it was Nipsey Hussle who said this, that other people's expectations is not my problem. I don't care what you expect me to be, you expect me to do. I'm going to present who I am to you. It's up to you to believe it or not. And just like when we meet people who may not be good people in our eyes, they are literally just showing you who they are. And it's up to you to decide how you want to handle them, where you want to place them, or what you want to do with that situation. But you can't expect somebody to be anything because expectations aren't always met. You're probably expecting somebody to be grand and grandiose and this bomb ass person when they can only do things from their own perception of their reality. If they don't perceive themselves as grand, if they don't perceive themselves as husband or wife material, just because that's what you expect of them, they are not obligated to meet your expectations. And you are doing yourself a disservice trying to get someone who doesn't see that for themselves to be that for you. You know what I'm saying? And so as we get into growing, you have to learn that you don't know who you are. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you're capable of until you know. We do things, and every time I sit back all the time, and I be like, yo, when I was in college, I just did this. Like, for example, moving to Wisconsin, right? I was just telling this story the other day of like, yo, I just be doing stuff. I got this job offer in Milwaukee, had never been here before, and I drove my little Mazda. I sold everything in my part of the apartment because I had roommates. But I sold everything, left the bed there, and anything that couldn't fit in my Mazda stayed in Florida. And I drove myself from Florida to Wisconsin by myself. Would I do that today? No. I would not take that drive, but at the time, I just saw opportunity. I didn't see fear. I didn't see danger. I just was focused on the opportunity. And all the dangers of traveling across the country by myself still existed, right? They don't go away, but I believed in me. I believed in the vision and the goal that I had. So I didn't even give that my attention. I was aware. Of course, I was still safe. You know, I was still in contact with my family along the whole ride. I stopped in Nashville to see my best friend overnight. I wasn't on the highway in the middle of the night, but I didn't overly engulf myself in what was wrong or what could have gone wrong, rather. You know what I'm saying? And so when you are trying to be better, you have to sometimes look at the things that you did when you were younger and truly say, I would probably never do that again. There have been situations where I've hurt people unintentionally because I've always wanted to be a good person. And now when I reflect on it, I'm like, yo, I would never do that to somebody again. But at that moment in time, my mind was just in survival mode. And that seemed, that action, those words, the way I handled these situations, it seemed to be okay at that time because all we have to understand too that even when people do us wrong, everybody is literally just trying to do what is best for them in the moment. It may not make sense to you because your best in that moment is different from their best. And you also have to give grace in that way. That don't mean you got to put up with it. Giving grace doesn't even mean you have to deal with it. It's just this heightened sense of empathy and awareness of you just trying to do what's best for you in this moment. Unfortunately, it don't work for me though. And knowing that you were probably in a situation in your younger years and you were just doing things when you were in survival mode that you probably wouldn't think twice about doing now. But that's what the art of forgiveness is. It's acknowledging where you were and saying, I was doing the best I could in that moment. When we talk about parents or the people who have influenced or raised us, we can give them criticism after criticism after criticism. But then as you start to go into adulthood, child, because auntie is adulting is very ghetto. You start to realize that I can forgive you because I realized you were doing what was best or what made sense for you to survive at that moment. And we have to know too that everything isn't always about us for other people. We are not always a priority to other people. And that sounds bad. Even the people that we love don't have to prioritize us. And I mean, like, emotionally, they'll make sure that we have what we need to survive, but sometimes that's it. I know y'all done heard you got clothes on your back and you got food on the table, you got somewhere to lay your head. Don't worry me about nothing else. You have to be able to understand that at that moment in time, that is what your parent, your caretaker felt was best. They were just doing what they needed to do, and they were just doing what was best for them. Just like when we are growing, you have to sometimes think about the things that you've experienced in the past and use them as stepping stools. Use them as reminders to never go back. There are some things, some situations, some people that I let into my life that now that I'm a little more aware of who I am, where I'm going, and what I want, I can look at those and say, Toya, I forgive you for dealing with that. But also understanding that you were just in survival mode. At that time in your life, it made sense. At that time in your life, you were just trying to make sure that you were safe and protected. You have to be able to give yourself love from every phase. I don't care how much you've grown or how big you've become or how mature or how many books you've read, how many degrees you've gotten, how many businesses you've started and opened. You have to look at the versions of yourself that you may have pushed to the side and give them a hug too and say, I forgive you. But look at you for surviving. I'm so proud of you for surviving that. Situations that you may have been in that weren't even your fault, that you thought were your fault. I'm so proud of you for getting through that. And then think about how it's helped you to sustain yourself in the present moment. Giving yourself grace is absolutely hard because we can sometimes forgive other people when we shouldn't quite yet, but giving ourselves grace is difficult. And I think, okay, so maybe I'm going to challenge this thought that someone just said, giving yourself grace is hard. I think that giving yourself grace is hard because for people who have a whole lot of big dreams and goals, because all we can see is where we are, and we always compare where we are to where we want to be. And so all we see is that big gap. Like, this is what I want for myself, but this is where I am, so I ain't doing it right. I ain't doing it enough. I'm not going hard enough. But don't ever discredit how far you've come, because that is a win within itself. It's easy for me to say, and I've done it before, even on this platform of podcasting and becoming a life coach, is I'm not where I want to be. I don't have this. I don't do this right. I don't know what this means, but look at where you started. I started podcasting in my living room in my little tiny apartment with a whole bunch of boxes behind me because I was getting ready to move out. You know what I'm saying? And then I don't know if y'all remember when I had the little baby shower background, and I say that all the time because I had like the little streamers that you would put on like a doorway or something at a birthday party. Child, I went to Party City. I really thought I was doing something. It was a hot mess. But just that evolution, and then going to getting my little cute little setup, getting a little plant, a little fake plant, child, a little cup, and getting a neon sign. And so you have to understand, but look at how far you've come. That version of Toya was just trying to get into podcasting and be consistent. And then as you do that, God starts opening up your eyes to new ideas and new possibilities. Like, yo, you need to really have it look professional. So go out and do this now. Now it looks professional, and I don't have as many people on live as I used to. So now I'm doing in-person events so people could pull up on me. You know what I mean? And so just expanding your horizon, but being obedient and understanding that you have to forgive yourself. Like, yo, I wasn't good in friendship, and then I had to have some hard conversations with some of my best friends, and we're growing. But this is the type of growth that I can appreciate. This is the type of connections that I'm going to value forever because of the work that I had to do. At that moment in time when I wasn't being great, when I was being distant, when I wasn't in communication, I was just trying to survive in my own little world and bubble. My intention wasn't to make people feel that way. It still happened, but now I'm more aware of how to be good to the people that I care about the most. You know what I'm saying? And so, what I want us to know is that you don't know what you need to do in certain situations until you do it. I wouldn't have known the equipment I needed or marketing ideas or the strategies that you want that work or how to market myself if I never started podcasting in the first place. If I didn't do trial and error, if there wasn't certain things that I tried that didn't work. You know what I'm saying? And so just to kind of put this into perspective, because I'm gonna go ahead and close us out, is give yourself grace and forgive yourself. You don't know what you need to do until you've done it. There are some things that you may have not been proud of, but it's okay to go back. Mentally go back to those spaces. And I promise, if you go back to times, situations, and places mentally where you felt like you weren't your best, where you may have done wrong by people, there at some point in there, you were just trying to survive. You were just trying to do what was best for you in that moment. Why did it make sense to you? And why doesn't it make sense to you now? So being able to compare where you were with where you are is also important. You know what I mean? And understanding that before you can ask somebody else to forgive you, you have to first forgive yourself. And here's why. So let's say I'm in a situation where I realize, like, yo, I really messed up in this. Let me go and ask this person for forgiveness. And I hope they forgive me. And now, when you have this hope that they forgive you that is so strong, you now put you getting past that situation. And it depends on if they forgive you or not. So if they say, I actually can't forgive you for that right now, you're still holding on to it. You're still broken. You're still torn mentally. You still feel depleted. You still feel like a bad person. But baby, let me forgive myself first. Like, Toya, I forgive you for not knowing the impact that this action had and really doing the work to forgive yourself. And now, since I've forgiven myself, I'm good with me now. Let me go present it to this person. And even if they say that they can't forgive you, it's like, it's okay. It's easier to kind of let them be. But you have to forgive yourself first before you can accept that, because then it's just going to feel like rejection, and that's always heavy on us. Okay? So, with that being said, thank you all for joining me for another episode of Universal Teas. It's your girl Toya, and I cannot wait to see y'all. Oh, before I go, this Saturday, if you are in Milwaukee or in the Milwaukee area, you don't mind driving, flying, pulling up to Milwaukee, my next in-person event is going to be from 12 to 4 p.m. So I would love to see you there. The link is in the description of this video, and it'll be in the show notes. And then I also have some more dates for in-person events if you can't make this one. So every first Saturday of the month, I will be at North Avenue Market here in Milwaukee. So keep an eye out for that. I would love to see y'all there. Tell a friend, bring a friend. It's going to be an amazing vibe. There's food, there's drinks, there's music, and amazing and impactful conversation. So with that being said, I love you for the support. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave me a review or comment on this video. Until next time, bye.